Kua whitirea te pūtahi nui māre hua, ki ai o matua te kore, ki ai o take ki o te wānanga. Heke ki hora, mai te ira, atua ki te ira tangata. Ko ngā kete o te wānanga kua puta ki te ātea ki a tātou katoa. I au ai aku mihi kā rewa ki te haupupuhi, ki takaparawa, ki maunga keke, ki rangi toto. E kui mai, kora mai te pō, moi mai nā. Haere ki te paipairoa matariki me rehua, ki ngā iwi take, o te ao whānui me ngā iwi no ngā hau e whā, nau mai, whakatau mai, ki te kaupapa o te huinga, oho mairangi te hauora manaaki. E te mana whenua ko Ngāti Whātua o Ōrākei, me ngā iwi katoa o Tāmaki Makaurau, tēnā koutou, a kia ora mai tātou katoa. Katoa ake nei he uri no Ngāti Tōrangatira, no te Mahurehure, no Ngāti Pawa, Ngāti Maru, Ngāti Raukawa, te Atiawa, Ngāti Porau ki Harataunga, tai no atu ko Ngāti Koata ki Whakatū rānei. Mai miria te kākara ki whitirai a whakawhiti atu te moana o Raukawa, ki rangi toto, ki te tonga, ki Whakatū, ka puta ki Wairau. Ko toa Waaka tuku ingoa. And I hope this will translate everything I have said. Whilst this rolls down, ladies and gentlemen, just want to thank you for taking this time to hear a little bit about the Māori worldview. Some of the whakaaro that I have stewed over in the last 3 years whilst working with Otago University to try and help better the way in which we share our knowledge and our vision, our Māori strategy vision with our students, our tauira. But it's not just about our students, it's also about who they deal with, te iwi Māori, our tangata whaiora, our people who are seeking health. And I'll be talking hopefully more from a strengths-based as opposed to looking at the deficit model that Māori are so often, portrayed in over the generations of time in New Zealand. But to go there, we must go back to the beginning and go to those special places. This is my whānau. These are my beautiful little nephews and nieces, and that's my beautiful daughter, Haritoa. It's all about whānau kinships. So when we talk about whakawhanaungatanga as something that can parallel with IPE, that can help share our traditional knowledge, it is inspired by the things that we strive to do as parents. And that is to unpack this crazy world that our children live in. We try and clarify things so that they understand and they can make progress based on our discoveries. They are a manifestation of our successes and our failures. And we try to make this world a better place for them to live in. So, hari tō te hiko te rangi Waaka, this is my daughter, and this is who I dedicate that to. Right at this time here, my daughter with her cousins are down in our land in the Marlborough Sounds, which I believe some of you are going South Island. Who's going south? Yep, well, you will enjoy it down there. It's a beautiful, warm place. This is the Marlborough Sounds here. Hang on, I've just pressed the wrong button. No, I haven't. There you go. This is the Marlborough Sounds, and this is D'Urville Island, where my daughter's from. We're over here, this block of land there. And the cousins here, we just go there every summertime to try and reconnect with our land, because our environment is really important to us. Being connected to your environment is an important thing. We've done certain things across Aotearoa New Zealand as Māori. We've shared different names. Now just bear with me, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey. And it's going to be a little bit of a big journey. So I'm just trying to sort of step you up and out before we go right back. So this is a map of Aotearoa New Zealand. You can't quite read it properly, but up the top here, this is where we are right now. Tāmaki Makaurau, Tāmaki Here Ngā Waka. That is Tāmaki, Auckland. It is the place of the many canoes that are tied and bound together. because many of the canoes that brought Māori to Aotearoa, they all came through here. Most tribes can all affiliate to one canoe. Myself and Shirley here, we can affiliate to the canoe of Tainui. And I know that there are a number of others here. One of my other cousins, relatives, also can affiliate to Tainui, Denise Wilson. But we have many different canoes. And out of the 9 main ones, 7 of them come through Auckland, through here. The whole of the North Island is called Te Ika a Maui, which means the fish of Maui. Who likes fishing? I do. My ancestors loved fishing too. One of our ancestors' names was Maui, and he went fishing a lot. When he fished up things, they were quite big, and this is one of the fish that he fished up. If you grow up in New Zealand, it's quite often that you'll hear the stories of Maui, Maui fishing up the North Island, Maui catching the sun. Well, our traditions are based on what we do in the ocean, but not just what we do in the ocean, what we've done in the islands, and what we have now done here in Aotearoa, New Zealand. We've taken some of the names of our ancestry and we've let them be known across the land. So the South Island, for instance, here is Waaka, Te Waaka a Maui. We're a nation of a couple of islands, but we're not just island people. We are Waka people of the moana. We're people of the ocean. We came from across the Pacific. Do you think we came across the Pacific like this? This is one of the most irritating images I ever see. This is an image that is a painting that was done by C.F. Goldie and Lewis Steele. Now, this image has a lot of things wrong with it. You see, because to operate a waka, and this is a twin hull waka, 1, 2, you need to have enough space to do everything. So it's an overloaded canoe. Everyone's starved. They're all hungry. They all look like their own little personal world of turmoil, you know. But the thing that irritates me most of all is the inaccuracy of the recollection of this era. These prow here are from war canoes. War canoes, as you might have seen with Denise's talk this morning, are inland canoes that are used close to shore and in the rivers. They're not used on the deep sea. So the artist chose to put together 2 war canoes and then thatch them together. This sail here, that's a harakeke sail. A harakeke sail is flax. That's flax right there. See that there? That's one of Māori's most prized commodities that we traded across the Pacific Ocean. We had 51 vessels that went to all of the different countries around the Pacific. And this was up to prior and post-colonisation. So, harakeke is a very strong material that we use. It had been used for ropes, it had been used for mats, it had been used for korowai, for cloaks, it had been used for clothing. It's very durable. That sail there looks like it's been out on the ocean for over a year, maybe 2 years, because it's a durable material. My point is, the people who created this image had no idea of who we were. They barely probably even asked anybody about where we came from, how long it took for us to get here. As a note, these people here would have been travelling from the other end of the Kermadec Trench in a waka that would be looking more like this. So the Kermadec Trench would be leaving from Rarotonga area, and we would travel down. I think that's my bum there. Yeah. This was a movie that we did. It was a reenactment of the arrival of Māori to Aotearoa, and it was for BBC Natural History Unit. This was about the best that we could do to the recollection of what our ancestors did to come here. They were fully equipped. They brought with them kumara, sweet potato, taro, our own normal potatoes, our piru, our pig, our kunikuni, even a little kiore, a little mouse, and the harakeke and a few other plants and things. We stocked the waka properly. Each hull of the waka is actually designed, one is a wahine, a woman, the other one is a tāne, a man. The hierarchy or the structure of the Māori culture in the old world was a structure of balance between masculine and feminine. So there was mana wahine, mana tāne, mana tangata. This is an important element about having respect for both genders and that equality and equity of that. So these are the more sort of close to the truth of what our waka looked like. Although when you have a big sale like that, you don't have that many people who are actually on the oars. Okay? But this is where we're going. So Māori and a Māori worldview came from our journeys. And our journeys go back about 6,000 years. The expansion of Māori across the Pacific Ocean was to people almost every island of the Pacific. And that took over 4,000 years to do. The evolution of the knowledge came from learning from the environment. Tui ai runga, tui ai raru, tui ai roto, tui ai waho. You had to tie in the stars above, tides below, the winds around, the environment, the birds, the whales, everything that moved, you related to this. So our ancestors learnt that. This one particular ancestor here is Kupe. Who knows the Māori name for New Zealand? Nice and loud. Aotearoa, that's right. Aotearoa. Ao, cloud, tea, white, roa, long white cloud, right? Did anyone know that New Zealand's Māori name was actually given by a woman? That's the woman there. So this is Kura Marotini. She's the wife of Kupe. Kupe is known to be the one to have discovered Aotearoa. Well, actually, if he had his way, nothing would have been discovered because she's got her left arm out. And when they created this, this is a bronze cast and it's down in Wellington. And it's on the waterfront of Wellington. And when he created this cast about 40 years ago, he asked the elders of the Wellington region, how should the woman look, how should the man look? Well, whatever you do, make sure the wife has her left hand out. Does that mean much to you? That means quite a lot. Because if you have a look at the Pacific there, what side of the country would you have to come down to have your left hand out and be looking at land? Tasman Sea, right here. So it was simple little things, tiny little details that get left behind. So Kura Marotini, she said, he ao te aroa. Her husband went, kao, he tiri tiri o te moana tera. Meaning, nah, I think that's just an illusion of the sea, dear. So, you know what a Māori woman will say, eh? Oh, me nā ka haere ki te kitea tō tiri tiri o te moana. Yeah, well, let's just go and see your illusion of the sea thing, shall we? So off they went, and he was proven wrong. Now, we know for sure, for a fact, that he did actually go down this side of the country because Tiri Tiri o te Moana is the name of the Southern Alps. So that was the first piece of land that was actually spotted. This knowledge is left in different places. The way in which Māori psyche think and have been looking at the world is to be connected, interconnected, and to relate to different parts. This is the kumara. This is how the kumaras travelled backwards and forwards. When Māori arrived to Aotearoa, we even went back over to South America to go and get more kumara. With that kumara, we traded it for the Pacific chicken, which is called the hei hei. Say hei hei. Hei hei. Ho. Hei hei. Ho. Yeah, so you say hei hei, I say ho. Hei hei. Ho. Yeah, good. All right. So there are many journeys. Although you have all of this information about, the winds, the trade winds, and which way you can travel and cannot travel. If Thor Heyerdahl had his way, he would have told us, no, we could have only come from America and travelled across to the eastern side of the Pacific. But no, actually, we travelled both directions and quite often. So there was a lot of assumption about Māori culture, about our beliefs and where we came from. But our whānau, remember it all starts with whānau. So I want to go back before then, because we have to go back even longer before coming to Aotearoa, before being in the Pacific, because I guess our worldview is actually a universe view. And it came before we came in contact with Christianity, came before we came in contact with many other cultures. And it came right back in the stars. So here's a little piece, just to give you a bit of an idea on where we get our inspiration about family, whānau. And it started in the stars.
Mai te putahi manoa ui o matua te kore. Kua puta ko te a, ko te pō, kia rapu whai ai, ki te a marama e.
So our first family of stars
Wakarongo ki te tangi
were not stars, they were actually these planets. And our people could recognise the difference between planets and stars. So they called the planets whānau marama, a family of the glowing ones. We had to be connected to the 4 different dimensions of our environment. We had to understand the names of these stars. So when we were out across the ocean, we would know our way back. We would know where certain islands were. And Maui, he left his constellation for his fishhook in the sky. So we always knew where Aotearoa was. In the crucible of the stars was born the stories of our atua, our guardian forces of nature. We looked to the stars and to the planets, and we realised that there were an energy and a force in them. On planet Earth here, we look to our environment and are inspired by that also. We see the nature and the power in the sky and the clouds, in Papatuanuku, the earth, in her femininity, in her strength. And these elements of her character teach us about our parents, our mother, our father. To some, to my Taranaki people, one of my elders says, well, actually, not Sky Father, but Radiant Sun, because the term Sky Father was coined only when the colonisers came to New Zealand and started talking about Christianity. So we needed to be mindful of our own narrative and to hold on to the truth of our own story. I just want to credit Kiwa Digital because Munro Te Whata, he created a lot of these images. But all of our atua of the natural world, they made up our environment and they inspired us in this little cycle here. This is the water cycle you might all be aware of. So this is waiora. If you go to Wellington Hospital, we call Wellington Hospital Ngā Puna Waiora because it is the springs of the waters of life. Waiora. Here's tāne te waiora. This is just a cycle that also represents some of our atua, the guardian force of the unborn children underneath the volcanoes and our earthquakes. Tāwhiri, the wind, guardian force of the wind. Tūmātauinga, sometimes attributed to the guardian force of man, of humanity, and to challenge and of war. Tangaroa, the ocean. But in our environment sits a process and an ability to learn about how to interact and how to utilise what's in our environment in a way that gives us what you experienced yesterday, pōwhiri. So captured just within the environment and the process that we see here is when we started outside, we were greeted and the spirit of us was challenged. So our atuatanga, our belief systems were challenged. When the people spoke, when Valence spoke, he spoke and he gave his thanks up above. Then he gave his acknowledgements to those who had passed on. Then he looked at the people of this land and who we were, us, the group that had come to meet him and to meet AUT. Then we went on to the next steps of waiata and so on. So that's a process of pōwhiri, of welcoming, of connecting with people. It was inspired by our environment. Like many of the different things of our Māori worldview, is it actually comes from right outside. It's quite obvious, but sometimes we just forget about it. We see it every day. Just a little bit about some of the words that I'm sharing, because the word tihe mauriora is something that we've started to use, and I just wanted to share with you about the sun. You see, before Christianity came to Aotearoa, our main belief system was actually based around our big guardian forces. And this one here, the sun, that was the one that brought us sustenance, cultivation, and we set our days to it. We set our lives to it. So that's the importance of te ngi o te rā, or the radiant sun, to our ancestors, but also to this word waiora, the water of the sun. What's the sun made of? Yeah, it's helium now, but it's a big ball of hydrogen and they're just clashing together and it becomes helium, right? So that big ball of hydrogen, what do you need to make water? Oxygen. So in this planet here is where the radiance of the sun gives form to life. Mauri ora, mauri is to carry, ma, from, uri, descendant, or of, ra, like Egypt, the sun. We are descendants of the sun. Because, hand on your hearts, everyone, right there, that heartbeat, that blood, could never have been made at any other time except for at the birth of a sun or at the beginning of the creation of the universe in the Big Bang. Those heavy metals could never have been made, those top 15 of the periodic table. We are an essence of the beginning of creation of the universe. That's from a Māori worldview, but there's science to back it. So, our atua, they're depicted around us, and we create these beautiful stories for our children to learn from, because sometimes when we look back to the history of Māori here in New Zealand, it's a dark story. But here, you can see how a tribe basically is established. In a pā site here, or a village, you'll have the younger ones on the prevailing wind side. They're more sturdier, they're stronger. You'll have the older ones over the protected side, towards the centre, with all of these, what we call the different skins. That's like the layers of the pā site. So you protect them, you give them multi-layers of protection. There are the ariki, the high chiefs, but they are not ones who go, oh, you do this and you do that. They're actually external chiefs. They're paramount ones who have to deal with other tribes and negotiate relationships. Because the biggest thing that they have to deal with is relationships. Rangatira, facilitators of people, they facilitate the internal of the tribe. The tūtua and the tira, the group, that's the main group and main body, the main workforce. And the tohunga, the sage and experts, well, they deal with these lot in their own particular way also. Everybody has a job and a position. You can see this is actually a model of an original pā site, and you can see the cultivation pits and things out the back there. And in the past, our ancestors had created their own society, and it had the strengths of their agriculture, their cultivation, their landscaping, forestry, schooling. Their schooling was both regional, it was internal, but it was also regional and national. They would travel and go to other marae. They would have to integrate and have relationships with those marae to share knowledge. There is a saying that came from the far north, from my Ngāpuhi people. And when they saw that the Europeans were coming to New Zealand, one of the elders looked out and he saw the arrival of these big shells on the beach. And they were the Nautilus shell, the Pūtātara shell that you heard blowing yesterday. And he saw a vision and he says, there will come many people, 1,000 of them, 100,000. And so he asked to talk to all of the tribes and to get together and to try and work out ways to dealing with the coming of the new people. So that was about us having first contact with people in our own land. Some of the first people were Abel Tasman in 1642. And when he saw Māori in action, he saw them at their best. They were healthy, they didn't have any disease, their family structure and their whānau structure was all good. There was no, family abuse, no violence, no family violence. But this was what they were back then. They were like this because of this saying here that Denise had shared this morning. And it's based on our harakeke. The centre piece, if you pull out the centre part of the flax, then where will the bellbird sing? Where will the bellbird go? The bellbird actually helps to cultivate because it eats the seeds and it takes the seeds and helps to spread the seeds around. With this, that's the child or the grandchildren, the children and the parents, and then the elders and the ancestors. If we look to the flax, then it gives us the reminder of what works as a family structure. And that's what we sort of refer to when we go, well, whakawhanaungatanga is about trying to live it in our village and the way that we did in the old world. But what we were connected to when colonisation started was land loss, the outlawing of our leaders, and the undermining and dismantling of our own lands by creating legislation that was about validating invalid land sales. Theft of our economy. We had our own bank that had made money from the harakeke and from all of our trade, and that ended up getting robbed. All of these things happened, and still our families, this is my family here, it's my granddad, my great-grandmother, Mākere Tūhata, Pumapita Hiko, my great-granddad. They are all meeting here in 1936 in Porirua at one of their uncle's houses to go and challenge the government and say, no, you will not take our land. As whānau and united together, they had a voice and it ended up saving our family's lands. So, yeah. But we lost some of our leadership. Te Raupraha got imprisoned for no reason at all, got brought up here to Auckland. And while he was away, the continual undermining of the tribe carried on. There was a loss of trust from Māori to non-Māori. So these are all of the horrible parts of our history. But they have to be said, because this is where we are. We're not working from a deficit. We're trying to reclaim a place of strength. And so this is what happened in between. Where we are now is we're trying to look at what we can do today. And what it boils down to, for the first and foremost, is the sincerity of care. If we're in the health sector, if we're in the education sector, we must care. We must truly care. Because for Māori, they're too astute. You know, they've been looking up, down, around and everywhere. They've been watching little birds at 200 miles away. So they see the little things and they go, oh, I don't know if I can trust yous. You know, so they've been very mistrusting for a few years. But with a bit of whakawhanaungatanga, manaakitanga, the way in which we express that to our clients or to our tangata whai ora, those who are seeking wellness, then we give them the mantle of leadership back and say, well, what do you think? Which way do you think we should go? How can you contribute? What would you like to do? When we do these sorts of things, it improves their environment, their experience, but it also improves our own. So these are some of the ways with using and recognising land and connectedness. And that's not just for Māori. I think it's synonymous with many ethnicities and with many people around the world. So whilst I'm talking about the experience of Māori, it is an experience that has been shared and experienced by many. So to conclude with that, I see the client or the tangata whai ora can benefit in these ways, but us, as practitioners, as professionals, we have a more comfortable, healthy working conditions, happier colleagues, higher quality of healthcare, better communication, collaboration. So with that, I say tihei, tihei, kia ora tātou, kia ora.
Toa. Thank you so much. That was a huge amount of information in a short time. And should we give a test to see how much is retained?
I'll check these later.
Yeah. Any comments or questions?
Yeah.
I'm wanting to throw my purple square, you can see.
Purple square.
Yeah.
Up there.
I don't
Just
think I'll
pass it up. Throw it up. Throw it. You got to throw it.
You can see I'm not a rugby player. It's coming.
Woohoo! Hi, how you doing? Thank
How
you
you
very
doing?
much. My name's Andrew. I'm from the United States, and I was just a simple question: how do you get in touch with Earth Mother today?
We start in the morning by karakia. We start by getting in tune with ourselves. We start by going out and walking our mountain. We do it by certain. There's a Māori model framework, a health framework called Atua Matua Hauora Māori framework, and it's about doing your exercises in the environment and taking on some of those. Those elements of where you are, whether it's in the sea or whether it's in the forest, and looking at tāne mahuta of the forest and where you can best benefit, whether it's climbing trees or working out on branches or jumping branches or jumping logs, or so that's a framework that was established by Dr. Ihirangi Heke, and I think it's quite a successful way of marrying the old world into the new world. In a normal, everyday, just being able to pick up the rubbish, keep the place tidy, show some love to your environment. My daughter, she knows every time we go to the beach, it's 10 plus that we leave with, even though it's not ours. So we're going to leave it better for someone else. Yeah.
Thank you for that. We'll stop there just in the interest of